Hey, everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Diamond Discussion. I am your host, Demetrius Woods, and I'm so excited to have you guys here with us on this first episode. The pre launch phase was incredible. Over 3,000 subscribers between all of our platforms. Thank you so much for the support again. Extremely overwhelmed and grateful for that. But I hope that means that you think I've got a lot of value to add to you, along with the many guests that we're going to have on the show throughout. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back. We're about to jump right into the college exposure conversation because this is one that people like to talk about a lot. And so figured why not? Let's talk about it. So first of all, from a number standpoint, I don't know where you may get your numbers from. I use NCSA or National Scouting Report, but in a general sense, about 7 to 8% of softball and baseball players go on to play at the college level. All right, from high school to college. All right, so again, not a very large number. You think about that on a high school baseball team of 15 guys, for example. If you got 15 guys out there, 7% is one, right? That's one guy heading off to play collegiate ball, right? So again, not a whole bunch going there. However, how are they getting the exposure that they need? Usually, most guys, most girls, they're getting their exposure from their travel ball teams, their club teams, what have you. Well, what does that look like? A lot of people have to use showcase ball, right? Like showcases are such a huge part of the game, right? And I coach softball. Okay, I coach travel softball myself. I've had a team for almost 5 years now, and I'll go ahead and tell you, like we're from a small town. I've got girls typically within about 90 minutes of the area that come and play with us. And right now we're blessed, fortunate enough to have three different teams. So Elite Diamonds Blue, Elite Diamonds Black, and Elite Diamonds Gold. Little plug for our program there. But like we're a small team, and so or small market team rather. And what I do know though is that from Jump Street, I've always kept in mind the budget, right? The budget for the families and understanding what that dynamic is like, right? And so my point there though is that we don't play a whole lot of showcases. Matter of fact, I didn't play. I don't think we played our first showcase as a ball club until like a year ago, this past weekend, actually, last November. So here we are. We're 3 years into the program, and we hadn't played a lick of, 3.5 years in the program, hadn't played a lick of showcase ball. But here's what I'll say about showcases. All right, beside the fact that they cost what seems like $1 million, that's beside the point. Anyway, so, but here's the thing. With a showcase, all right, you've got, the one we just did this past weekend, it had about 30 to 40 colleges there. All right. And you've got about on the 18U level, I think we had a little bit over 30 teams there. Okay. And then you got 16U, 14U all playing at the same ballpark. So there's a lot of teams out there, a lot of coaches, college coaches, relatively speaking, right? But here's the thing, you've got to be able to do the legwork on the front end and on the back end to make that showcase worth it. You got to maximize the money, the time, the energy that you spent to get that done. Okay? Because here's the thing, with our players, we had practice last Thursday. And I took out practice time to make sure, one, my players knew exactly what coaches would be there and their contact information, email-wise. I helped them, structure an email that made sense, that was concise, all right, and that was, straightforward, and that they can also, have for themselves, right, and be able to use it in the future. But on the back end, though, you also have to make sure you connect with those coaches. Make sure you give them a reason to remember you off the field as well, a good reason, right? So here's the thing. With showcases, guys, yeah, they cost a lot of money. I get that. I'm kind of being facetious on that front. But, like, you want to make sure that you're doing what you got to do right out of the gates to be able to make it what you want and maximize the opportunity. That's all I'm saying. Because here's the thing: 4 figures, $1,000, $2,000, whatever that number may be for the team, is a lot of money to spend if you're not doing the right things that you need to do beforehand and afterwards as well, right? It's more of an investment, not spending per se, right? If you're doing it the right way. So that's one way that people use tournaments as an exposure opportunity. But people always ask me, like, Demetrius, what are you doing, man? Since you're so dang creative, right? To get your players the looks that they need. If you're not at every showcase, what exactly are you doing? And I'll tell them, one of my favorite things to do is what I like to call a college exhibition. I like to go and connect with a college coach and connect with their team, and we'll head out. We'll caravan, load everybody up in the cars, and we'll go to that school and we'll go toe to toe. We'll suit up and go toe to toe with that college ball team. Now we're about 500. We're about 500, actually a little under 500 now over the last 4.5, 5 years of playing college teams. But heck, I'll take that, right? I'll take that. You tell me, hey, listen, I've got a travel ball team right now, and we got a just slightly below 500 record against colleges. I'll take that as a bank every day. So, but again, win-loss record aside, I think that's one of the best ways for exposure to take place, because in my opinion, and I've got some college coach friends watching the show, thank y'all obviously for your support, but here's the thing, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that there's a better way to expose my players than for you, the coach, to have to game plan against her. Right now, I know that colleges are not going to scout us days in advance, right? As they would a normal, a regular season game, obviously. But what I'm saying though, there is that if you just watch one of my players rip a ball off the left center field wall for a double last at bat, then her next at bat, you're going to remember, okay, I'm not throwing that screwball again, right there. So again, my point though is that when coaches have to be strategic about how they game plan against a player, dude, that's a great way to expose my kid. Expose her in a great way, right? So again, that's one of my favorite routes to go rather. We also do college friendlies where we'll go grab, 3 or 4, 2 or 3 or 4 other travel ball teams. We'll meet up at a university and we'll play on their college field. Again, another opportunity to play on a collegiate field, which a lot of girls don't have that opportunity, right? And we play a little round robin, 3-4 team round robin, have fun, get after it together, and usually we're going to get some direct feedback right from those college coaches and their staff. Sometimes we make a little mini camp out of it and go through some drills and things like that as well, which sometimes I think going through drills can be more impactful than playing an actual game, because you get to see the reps, you get to see the footwork. Like in a game, a second baseman may only get 1 or 2 balls hit to her, right? But in a drill setting, you're going to get a couple of things hit to you more often that way. And anyway, so drills I think can be a great way to do that as well, if you're able to do like some mini camps and stuff like that right there in front of the coaching staff. We always also use skills videos. I know that YouTube, Instagram, there's a lot of other social media opportunities out there to be able to build. But man, I'll do a skills video. I've done a skills video with pretty much every one of our seniors that have gone on to play at the next level. And guys, super simple, right? Like, get a tripod, get a phone, whatever, and get on the ball field for an hour and a half or 2, right? I take the video, I cut it up into 90 seconds, right? Because I don't want coaches having to sit there for longer than 90 seconds to watch a video, right? But in that 90 seconds, I've got a quick intro, right? Hi, my name is such and such. I'm from, XYZ school. I go to this XYZ school. I'm from XYZ city, and I play shortstop. Boom, bam. We get some reps at short, her throwing across the diamond. We get her hitting some balls, 8, 9, 10 cuts, and then we're out of there, 90 seconds. At the end of the video, we show GPA, height, weight, just some other information, contact info, and we're done. All right. Usually takes me 2.5 hours to edit it, and then you factor in travel time. I would say at most 6 hours, right? 6 hours out of my day to be able to give some of my players an opportunity that could ultimately change their life, right? That could give them an opportunity to go do something that they thought they couldn't have done, some of them, right? So again, skills video, a great way to get exposure done. And again, once you create that YouTube link or whatever you may be using, guess what? I send it out, she sends it out, mom and dad send it out, friends and family send it out, college coaches send it out. I can't tell you how many times I've sent a video to a college coach and they're like, "Hey, Demetrius, unfortunately, man, we're already stacked up. We're loaded for, this class, or, right now, class of 2024. We're already booked, so to speak. But I'll send it to, some other coaches in my conference." Right? Heck yeah, please, thank you. That'd be huge. Right? So again, a lot of different ways to do that. I know players go to individual camps, right? I mean, colleges host camps all the time to, be able to, a prospect camp, to be able to see what's around them. And I think prospect camps are a phenomenal way to go. I don't think it makes sense to go to like, 20 or 30 every summer by any means. I mean, that's a big investment, especially if you're also playing travel ball and doing other things. But pick you out some that the schools that you want to potentially attend. Pick a couple of those out. Go to those camps, or go to the camps where they're going to have multiple schools at them as well. I think that's a great way to go. So again, from a college exposure standpoint, I know we're probably going to revisit this topic in a few weeks again, especially when I do some interviews with some folks. But I think this is one that can really be a big one for everybody to think about, because once you think about ways to be creative beyond just going to the showcase, y'all, it really opens up your game. It opens up the opportunities that you have. So just consider that and see what that looks like for you. So we're going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to share one of our sponsors with you, and we'll get right back to it. Hey guys, thank you again for tuning into the podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our business partners, Impact Financial Alliance. I'm actually the CEO of the company, but our company has decided to sponsor this podcast. And Impact Financial Alliance is all about helping people get from where they are to where they want to be personally, financially, and professionally. We're all about the financial services industry, helping people invest their money in a smart way, helping people also with life insurance in an effective way. If you have any interest in that ever is something that you're looking for, go check out impactfinancialalliance.com, or you can hit me up at Demetrius Woods at impactfinancialalliance.com, and we can show you what that looks like. Thank you. All right, guys, welcome back. This right here coming up, I think this is going to be one of my favorite segments throughout the show. We're going to try to do this segment every single week. And this segment is all about you. Really, actually, the whole show is all about you, to be honest with you. But this one features you, so to speak. And this is what we call our open book segment. And all throughout the week, we'll ask different fans of the show to ask us questions. And it could be about anything. It could be about the game. It can be about me. It could be about one of our future guests, whatever the case may be. And we ask you to DM us on Instagram, Facebook, hop in the comment section of our YouTube channel, whatever, and just ask us some questions that you may want to know and that you may want to hear feedback on. So I think this is going to evolve as we go. But we did select some questions. We had actually a couple of dozen questions for this first episode, and so but we were able to select 3 or 4 of them, and so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to answer them the best I can, and we'll go from there. So this first question here is from Marissa K, and her question was, should I keep playing high school ball? And boy, this can be a loaded one. And just to give you some context, because it was a kind of a longer question, I guess, but she was asking this in the context of, well, I already played travel ball, so should I continue playing high school ball even though I play travel ball? And here's what I'm going to say about that. One, this can be my answer to a lot of different things in life, for ball, whatever the case may be. But I think the first question you have to ask yourself is why? Like, why are you playing high school ball to begin with? Okay? Because for me, I know why I played, which has been a decade ago, right? But I know why I played high school ball. I played high school ball because my boys were playing high school ball, right? Like, and when I say my boys, I'm talking about my guys that I grew up with from diapers through elementary school, falling off the jungle gym, through middle school baseball, and now we're in high school, and we went through rec ball together, all stars, blood, sweat, and tears, and we get an opportunity to compete, 4 times for a state title or making a playoff run or whatever the case may be. That's why I played, right? So I had some pride there in my school. I have a considerable amount of loyalty to my school as well, and so that's why I played, right? I mean, that was the only thing that really mattered to me at that point in my life, was just that opportunity to play with my boys. And I love travel ball and school ball equally, even though travel ball was where I was going to be able to get my looks per se, in terms of our last subject about the college exposure. And I knew that, again, we're Putnam County High School. We're not big into baseball. It's not, we're not on the map for baseball like that. And so I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of looks per se that way. But yeah, I played because I loved the game, and I played because for my boys. So I think, to answer that question literally, like, should you continue playing high school ball? I just think it matters. Your why matters more than anything. And then once you figure out, and maybe that's just simply jotting down pros and cons to playing, and then consulting your family, consulting your coaches, you guys getting together and talking about that to make sure that it makes sense for you to keep playing, right? Because if it's a detriment to your game, then maybe that's not a good idea, right? But on the flip side of that, if it could amplify your game, if it could do more for you, then heck yeah, why not? Why not get the extra reps? If that's the only thing you're looking at, if you look at it from that perspective, go get the extra reps. Do what you got to do to expand your game. Because here's one thing that I know about most, and again, I can't say this about all travel ball teams and all school ball teams, but around here, usually most of the girls that play travel ball, their travel ball teams are more skilled than their high school teams. Okay? Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. All right? But the majority of them, that's the way they're built. The travel ball team, a lot more put together than the high school team. And here's what that means. The gap between the quote unquote best player on the travel ball team and player number 15 on the travel ball team is very small, right? But the gap on the high school team between the best player and quote unquote the worst player, or the not as skilled player, it can be astronomical. So for you, Marissa, or anybody like Marissa, why not use that opportunity to be a leader, right? Be that extra voice, be that extra coach on the field, right? Do more than maybe that you would do on your travel ball teams in terms of being a leader, helping out other players who are trying to learn the game, grow the game that way. Because here's the reality. You can't tell me you don't have time to do that, right? I know I may be getting on a soapbox here. I'm sorry, Marissa, but you can't tell me you don't have time to go be a leader. You can't tell me you don't have time to go invest in somebody else, because I guarantee you there was somebody who invested in you to help you get this far, right? So I'm not trying to talk you into going to play high school ball just because I did, but I am trying to tell you, weigh out the pros and cons of it, All right. Then consult with your family, consult with your coaches, the high school coach, the travel ball coach, maybe your coach from another sport. Talk to them and just see what they say. So I hope that answers your question, Marissa. Thank you for chiming in and being willing to ask a question there. The next question that we have is from a very dear friend, um, and I like to call her one of my mentees. I would say I'm one of her mentors, and her name is Kanaya R. And the question she asked here, she says, "How do you, as a coach, help players who haven't found their purpose find their purpose?" And boy, that's a big one. I don't know if we have enough time on the show to like fully go through that. But let me ask that again. How do you as a coach help players who haven't found their purpose find their purpose? So let's talk about that for a second, because that can be on the softball field, that can be in life, that can be in a lot of different areas, right? But the first question that I would ask that player, and actually in this room right now where I'm recording this very first episode, I've sat across the table from multiple of my players that I've gotten an opportunity to work with, and we've talked about life, we've talked about their purpose. And usually one of those questions that I lead with is, well, Kanaya, what do you care about? Like what matters to you the most in life, in the game, on the field, off the field, at school, whatever? Like what do you care about? And I think that's a great place to start when it comes to trying to find our purpose and get an idea of what that looks like. Find out first what you care about. What are you passionate about? I think about a great mentor of mine, just through reading his materials and listening to some of his speeches and such. His name's John Maxwell. He talks about passion being one of the greatest drivers of purpose, right? Like, what are you passionate about? What do you love the most? Because here's the thing. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about adding value to your life through this podcast. And so what you're going to find is you're going to give energy, effort, the whole nine to something that you're passionate about. No doubt about it. And so when you find out the things that you're passionate about, I think that's a great place to start. And then from there, maybe you want to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Okay? Identify your strengths and weaknesses. And on the weaknesses side of it, cut those out. Like, don't do those. what you're weak at? Like, I'm a terrible dancer. I'll be straight up about it. And I was in musical theater as a high school kid, and we had three things that we had to do, right? Sing, dance, and act. All right. The acting part, I could get that down pretty good. Singing, I'm exposing myself a little bit here, but I can sing pretty good too. But the dancing part, man, I was a 10-man one year, and I was the perfect stiff 10-man that you could ask for, right? But here's the thing: I don't dance now for that reason, right? Like that's just not my strong suit. Like I'll give like like the slow Will Smith from Hitch. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie or not, but like I give like that type of dancing, whenever I'm on the dance floor at a wedding or something. But that's about it. Okay, I'm not doing the whole. All my players always want me to make TikToks and stuff with them. Like, no, guys, I can't do that. I'm not capable. But anyway, my point is that let go of the weaknesses when it comes to finding your purpose, and focus on your strengths, right? And I'm not saying forget the weaknesses and not to work on them ever, but focus on what your strong suits are, and then expound upon those, because honestly, that can be a game changer for you in terms of finding your purpose. Here's the other thing, Kanaya, that I'll share with you, and I'll share this with others as well who may be looking for an answer on this. I know that for me personally, I try my best, and some days are tougher than others, I know, but I try my absolute best, guys, to make sure that I start my day with an attitude of gratitude, because your mentality is so incredibly important when it comes to fulfilling your purpose in life. And I don't want to get to preaching to anybody here, but that's such an important piece. And when you have an attitude of gratitude, like the feeling of being grateful and thankful for what you have rarely ever allows negativity to creep in. I think about the stat out there. It says that 80,000 thoughts goes through the human brain every day. And so I ask you, Kanaya, others, how many of those are positive thoughts? How many of those are thoughts of gratitude, thankfulness, right? That mental shift right there can help lead you to your purpose, right? And I think the last thing that I'll share with you on that is take a look at your sphere of influence, right? Who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with every day or every week? What do they have going on in life? Are they doing the things that you want to be doing? Are they heading towards the places that you're wanting to be heading in life? And if they're not, maybe it's time to rearrange our circle. And if they are, lean more into them, right? Lean more into the people who are going to have your best interest at heart, and they're going to be able to mentor you and to give you that opportunity that you need to take that next step in fulfilling your purpose. So again, Kanai, thank you for the question, and I hope that my answer is clear enough to be able to get you started on that. All right, this next question here is from Adam D. Um, and he says here, what kind of coach would you want? What kind of coach would you want if you were still playing today? Adam, man, that's a good one. I would say to kind of keep this brief, I would say that I would want the kind of coach that I'm aspiring to be now. And I've had the pleasure of coaching some incredible young ladies over the last almost 5 years. I've coached baseball as well. I've coached women's kickball while I was in college, believe it or not. And we had some amazing runs, championship runs up in Conyers, Georgia, by the way. Uh, Here's the thing on that. The coach that I aspire to be now, number one, that it's a coach who cares about my players on and off the field. Because here's the reality. I know that I can be an intense coach between those white lines. And I say intense, like I'm locked into the game. I like to win. I like to push. I like to compete. Like that energy gets me going. And so sometimes it's a lot. It can be a lot, and I know that for certain. But off the field, I'm just Demetrius, right? I'm Demetrius, the uncle, the big brother, the mentor, the whatever I need to be. That's who I am for them. And it means a lot to me to know that I had coaches in my life. I'm definitely not going to get emotional on the first episode, but I had coaches in my life who were that way for me, and I had some who weren't. But to have a coach who cares about you is big. So that's a one big piece. I think I would want a coach that's going to give me the tough love when necessary, because I know that I'm not a lackadaisical person by any means. However, sometimes it's important to be ripped a new one when I need to be ripped a new one, right? And that tough love can be big. It can be beneficial if I use it in the right manner. And me as a player, I have to be able to take whatever was said in the right way, right? And I think it was an Alabama player. I heard this a couple of weeks ago. An Alabama football player was talking about Nick Saban, and I think Nick Saban got into his grill pretty good. And the kid said very clearly, it wasn't about the way he said what he said. It was about what he said that mattered, right? And so again, having that tough love is something that's important. I think setting and meeting expectations. As a coach, that's something that I try my hardest to do. And as a player, I want that. Like, I want a coach to set the bar high for our team, for me as a player, because I found myself in a leadership role for the most part with with most teams that I was on, and I would be ultimately an extension of the coach. So yeah, I mean that's what I would say on that, and I think a couple other things would just be making sure that I would want my coach to have meaningful practices. I can't tell you how much I now, as a coach, value practice time, and I detail practice out to the very minute because I don't like to waste the time of my players. I don't like to waste my own time, and I like to make sure that my girls are getting something out of it. Like, I legit ask them. I mean, I did last practice actually. I asked the players, "Hey, did you get something out of this? Was this worth the drive? Even whether the drive was 15 minutes for some of them or an hour and a half at most for most of them. I want to make sure they're getting something out of it, right?" And so again, that would be the kind of coach, Adam, that I'd be looking for. To be honest with you, man. The last question that we'll do, this is kind of a funny one, or fun one rather. This is from Sean R. And he says, "What is your favorite college softball team and why?" Hands down, all sports in the college level. I am a diehard Bayou Bengal, LSU Tiger fan. So sorry, all you Alabama fans out there. We're not on the same page. I get that. I went to Georgia State University, so I'm always going to root for the Panthers. But in terms of all sports, I'm rooting for LSU, no doubt. Women's college basketball coming off of a chip, LSU baseball coming off of a chip. Hopefully, Coach Beth Torino and LSU softball will be on their way to College World Series this coming year. That would be awesome because I think we're going to be taking the team there as well, which will be exciting. So that is that's my team. That's and I guess the reason why many years ago, I got an opportunity to hear Les Miles, which is a former LSU football coach, on a podcast. Just fell in love with his style and just kind of fell in love with everything about LSU and the purple and gold. So anyway, that would be the answer to that one. So um, we are going to take a very quick break here and highlight one of our sponsors. This podcast would not be possible without our business partners, and so I hope you get a chance to take a quick second and listen to them real quick. Hey guys, thanks for pausing with us again. I'm going to shout out another one of our business sponsors called Hike the Mountain. And this is with Jay Thompson, actually my father-in-law. And Jay Thompson is somebody who is a very well-respected person in every single community that he's been a part of. He's always about helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. And Hike the Mountain is just about that. He takes people up Culture Mountain and he shows them what it looks like to have the proper personal development. And he also takes companies and does the exact same thing. So if you or your company, if you're looking for any personal development, if you're looking for any cultural development within your organization, take a look at hikethemountain.org or give Jay Thompson a call at 706-817-9774. Thank you. All right, guys, we are back, and on the back end of our episode here, thank you so much for hanging in there with us so far. I want to talk a little bit about NLI and NIL. NLI, the National Letter of Intent. So yesterday was National Signing Day for athletes in the class of 2024, and actually last Friday, Samantha Spizak, who is one of our ball players on our Elite Diamonds Gold team, signed to go to Wesleyan College in Macon, Georgia. And then on this past couple of days ago, actually on Monday, Mackenzie Diaz signed to go to Point University out in West Georgia. And actually, Kenzie is going to be heading out to Point early for the good and the bad of that. Going to miss her so much, a lot actually. She's been with us for a long time, but she's going to get a really unique opportunity to go and be there with the team in the spring. So shout out to those two ladies, and we've got plenty more that are probably going to be coming down the pipeline that I'll shout out on future episodes. So National Signing Day, it's always a big time. It's a fun time, fun just moment to be a part of. just to see the smiles and just that. I don't know, man. When you're able to see the young lady or the young man and their family, and they're kind of up on the podium or on the stage or at the table and whatnot with their jerseys, and just I don't know, man. It's really cool sense of pride that they have, and whether it be at their high school or off-site venue or whatever the case may be, it's always I don't know. I always find that really dope. So, but let's talk about nil. All right, for a second. Nil, and if for those of you who don't know what that is, nil is name, image, likeness. And we're going to have a part one because I'm going to be very brief today on this subject. So, part one slash like preface, whatever you want to call that. But I don't know if any of you guys know this yet, or some of you may know about it but haven't looked at the details of it. But GHSA, the Georgia High School Association, they just passed the law that high school players can now use their name, image, and likeness to their advantage, which is awesome in my opinion. And I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this as well in the comments, because this can be a game changer for a lot of people if done the right way. And that's the big part that I'm going to talk about on the part two, or maybe in a part three, if it's done properly, right? Because you don't want family members or coaches or other people hijacking the moment for the student athlete. But man, this could be huge. This could be huge, and I think it could really be something that could pop off pretty well for a lot of folks. So my initial thoughts again, I think it's awesome. I think it's going to be something that will really amplify some ball players and give them the opportunity to have a little bit more of a spotlight. And I'm not just talking about, because I know when people think about name, image, and likeness right now, they're talking about the football players and maybe the basketball players and maybe the track stars. I'm also talking about the soccer kid, the volleyball player, the wrestler, the baseball and softball players, right? Like this could be game changing for everybody. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that for now, but I'm pumped about what's coming down the pipeline with this. And obviously there's some rules and guidelines to follow and things of that nature that are going to be set in place with this. And Georgia's not the only school. I think Georgia's like maybe the 10th or 11th school, or excuse me, not the only school, but the only state to carry this into law. So I'm intrigued to see how this goes. And we go from there. So quick plug for my office building here. So where we're shooting this podcast is actually right here in Greensboro, Georgia, right across the line from Eatonton. And this office is called Flow Space Co-working. And so we've got a number of different businesses. So we've got my podcast. We've got a couple of we've got chiropractors, insurance agents, just movie industry type people as well, all here in the office sharing flow space co-working is as a name of the business. And so if you're looking for office space, or if you're looking for a place to do a meeting or have a gathering or what have you, Flow Space is the place to come. Check out their website. That we'll put that in the comment section on our YouTube channel as well as on our social media pages. So quick plug there for Flow Space. All right, guys, as we wrap up here, I want to talk a little bit about the latest in pro and college baseball and softball. Not a lot going on in the college world right now, but pro baseball last Wednesday, right? Yeah, last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, the World Series wrapped up in 5 games. Texas Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-1 in the series. Okay, I want to talk about that for a quick second because there's been a lot of hoopla, and I'm from Georgia. I know a lot of my listeners on the podcast are probably going to be from Georgia as well. So don't hear me poo-poo the Atlanta Braves. Okay, chill out. But I heard a lot of excuses this year. from Braves fans, from Dodgers fans, okay, from Baltimore Orioles fans, believe it or not. And here's the thing about the current MLB format. It's the exact same that most softball and baseball tournaments are set up to be. And actually, I just ran our organization, Elite Diamonds organization softball, we just put on a tournament a couple of weeks ago where we only had 5 teams. We originally had 6, but if it were 6 teams, the 1 seed and 2 seed were going to get a bye in the tournament, and then 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, and they go on from there, right? Anyway, beside the point. Here's my thing on that. You just gotta prep and get ready. I know that the game is it's a rhythm thing, and when you play, as many games as those guys play throughout the year, I get it. Taking 5 days off can be a lot, and trying to simulate game-like situations can be a lot. Still no excuses though in my book. I mean, I can't, as a coach, I cannot work up the courage or the fathom, I guess, to make that any type of an excuse. So here's the thing: you had Texas Rangers as the 5 seed on the American League side, and then the Diamondbacks were a 6 seed. They slid in. I think they had 84 wins on the season, and they slid in as a 6 seed. Okay. Of course, this goes against my point of not having an excuse, because both of these teams had to play in the wild card series, obviously the division series, championship series, and then they got to the World Series. So anyway, shout out to the Texas Rangers for just their dominance really in the playoffs. And also shout out to the Arizona Diamondbacks, man. Like, who saw that coming? To sweep the Los Angeles Dodgers? The pitching staff that the Dodgers had and that lineup, absolutely lethal. I mean, the Dodgers and the Braves, to me, were on a collision course for the NLCS matchup, right? So shout out to the D-backs, man, getting it done. We're going to do a quick giveaway, all right? And this giveaway, the first person to tell us the answer on our YouTube channel, all right, which is just at the Diamond Discussion, will win a free t-shirt. It may look something like this. The first person to give us the answer on the YouTube channel wins. All right. So Corey Seager is just the second player. I don't know if you guys know Corey Seager, but Corey Seager is a shortstop for the Texas Rangers. He won World Series MVP for the Los Angeles Dodgers a few years back. He just won World Series MVP for the Texas Rangers. And he's only the second player ever to win 2 World Series MVPs with 2 separate franchises or 2 separate teams. My question to you is, who was the first player or the only player outside of Corey Seager to win World Series MVP with 2 separate franchises? All right, so I'll leave you guys with that. And in other news, very excited to share this with our listeners in case you didn't know. A very dear friend of mine, good friend of mine, love her to death, love what she stands for, Valeria Arioto, longtime first baseman for the USA team. She was just inducted into the USA Softball Hall of Fame last week, and I am so daggum thrilled for her, man. Just the work that she's put in, obviously to be a Hall of Famer. The work that she continues to do to pour into other young women to empower them to be greater than what they ever thought they could be on and off the field. It's incredible to me. And so Val, shout out to you. I know you're listening to the podcast as well. Thank you for your support. But yeah, I mean, that's incredible to be in the Hall of Fame is that's the pinnacle of success right there. So anyway, as we wrap up, guys, I'm always going to kind of wrap up our podcast with a thoughts you should know moment. Okay, and it may be 1 or 2 things that that I thought you should know. And this may come from like something that I read or saw or listened to throughout the week that I felt like could be relevant for you. So hopefully this is, and I actually saw this on Twitter, or X rather. What do people say now, by the way? Like, is that, like, do people still tweet, or do they exit, or like, what is that? When somebody needs to call up Elon Musk and ask him, like, what does he want us to say on that front? Anyway, I saw this on X, and this was by a gentleman named Nick Bonacore, and it says here, the number one life skill kids can take away from youth sports is learning how to compete. That doesn't mean winning all the time. It means learning how to dig in and fight when things aren't going your way. It means being resilient because you can't learn to compete by avoiding struggles. I hope that resonates with somebody today as you're listening, because again, it's not always about winning, right? It's not always about, going out and being the one to, blow everybody off the field or blow everybody off the court. Sometimes it's about getting your butt kicked and making sure that you can get yourself back up off the mat and keep going. So again, I hope that resonates with you guys. As we wrap up, I'm going to sign this thing off. And hey, listen, just another reminder. Let all you do be done in love, because that's what makes the world go round. We'll catch up with you next time.